Famcast Media, bitch.
Candace. Boy, am I at a loss for words on this one. Alright, so this story was actually sent to me by Jennifer. Thank you so much for sending this to me because somehow you must have known that I was going to have a lot to say about this. And you're right, I do. So Candace Owens has been in the news quite a lot recently, mostly regarding, her little Twitter beef with Cardi B and all that other shit. But she made another comment recently. And this one is about the Satanic Church and transgenderism. So I was scrolling through my timeline, and this thing popped up. Candace Owens says affirming transgender children is actually satanic. I couldn't resist this. I mean, I normally didn't want to talk about Candace Owens because, she says a lot of crazy shit. And if you want to know more about Candace Owens, my advice to you would be to watch the Joe Rogan podcast and listen to her for herself. She pretty much does a good job at letting the world know who she is, so I'm not going to talk that much about her. But because she wants to talk about Satanism and all that, I'm not going to miss out on this opportunity. So this article came from a website called Friendly Atheist, written by a guy named Emmett Mehta. Pretty nice guy, has a YouTube channel, so check him out as well. But you know what? Let me get on with the article. Candace Owens affirming transgender children is actually satanic. During an interview over the weekend, conservative commentator Candace Owens claimed that Satan was behind the affirmation of transgender identities. Literally, Satan. Owens and BlazeTV host Allie Beth Stuckey said it was harmful to use proper pronouns and affirm trans identities for children, even though literally the opposite is true. Owens says, how do you combat your child going into a kindergarten class? And this is actually the circumstance in some schools, where they are allowed to call your child by a different gender all day, and they're not required to tell the parent. I can't to me, that is Satan, right? Satan is the author of lies and deception. I wonder where we've all heard that shit before. There was this other, crazy Christian lady who said the exact same thing about transgender people. Matter of fact, I'm gonna let you guys see that for yourself.
Satan is the author of confusion, not God. The Bible says that God created male and female, and he said it is good. Satan is the author of confusion, and that is the confusion that we are seeing in our culture. And it's just my prayer that people return to embracing what God created them to be.
Isn't it funny how, all these, crazy religious extremists all say the same fucking thing over and over again? Satan this, blame Satan for that, Satan's the author of confusion. It's all the same old recycled talking points, and at this point, it's getting really fucking old. Satan is the author of lies and deception. And when I look at the face of this transgender movement and this transgender agenda and confusing kids are already confused about everything, you know what I mean? And our job is to tell them what the truth is. And when I see that, I think this is actually satanic. And I just don't know what we say to those parents who can't afford to take their kids out. If your biggest concerns about kindergarten is that your child might feel accepted and you'll do anything to stop it from happening, you're a horrible parent. You know what, Meta? I agree with you on this one. I mean, you are a horrible parent. If you don't support, your child exactly the way they are, you're not just a terrible parent, you're a terrible human being altogether. This is one of the reasons why I'm an anti-natalist. You have all these people, that want to give birth to children, especially, Christian extremists and stuff like that. And then when their child, grows up and becomes, says, hey, mom and dad, I'm gay, or mom and dad, I want to transition, then they have a big fucking deal about it. I mean, if you can't accept your child for being born the way that they are, then you have no business being a parent altogether. But, this is what happens, when you have a group of people in a country that don't believe in science. You can have all the scientific evidence in the world, whether it be MRI scans, whether it be, psychologists, whether it be psychiatrists, whether it be neurologists, whether it be biologists, doesn't matter what area of science or medicine it is, to these transphobic people and these TERFs and homophobic people and all this other shit, none of that matters. All that matters is the fucking Holy Bible. I swear, these people are insane. These people seem to think that there's some epidemic in which children falsely adopt a different gender for shits and giggles, when the reality is the only people who think like that are horny conservatives who say they would gladly have presented themselves to be girls in high school if it meant they could sneak into their showers. We all know who that person is. I did a video on him too. His name is Mike Huckabee. It's a shame, Mike. You're a great bass player, but you're a terrible fucking person. Media Matters points out that this sort of rhetoric is nothing new for Owens. Owens has a history of making extreme anti-transgender comments, including saying that the movement for transgender equality is one of the most dangerous and evil things that is happening. Wow, giving somebody the same rights that you have is somehow evil. I wonder how this person would react to, the civil rights movement or any other, equality movement out there, or even, the women's suffrage movement. Giving somebody the same rights that you have and the same opportunity as you have is somehow evil. If that's what real, if Satan is real, he actually sounds like the good guy in this case. She said, I cannot think of anybody's emotional capabilities that are more unstable than somebody that is transitioning from a male to female. She also called trans women competing in sports and Miss Universe pageants as a complete and utter mockery of modern feminism. I swear, stupidity knows no bounds when it comes to Candace Owens. It must be nice to have a job where all you have to do is have the worst opinions about everything, but PragerU, which hosts Owens' show, is known for it. Now, like I said, if you guys want to know more about Candace Owens, there's more than enough information out there. She seems to have a very irrational fear of atheists and secular people. As you know, well, maybe you don't know, Candace Owens literally backed out of a debate with Kyle Kalinske of Secular Talk. Now, he's also, another podcaster. He does, YouTube videos and stuff like that. And, he's also critical of, organized religion and religious extremism and, crazy Christians like this. And like I said, she's afraid to debate him. She comes up with every excuse out of the book. And even when Kyle reached out to, her, she still tried to come up with every excuse, act like she's the fucking victim. Everybody wants to play the victim card these days. Really, what the fuck is up with this? What, is being a victim the new hottest popular thing? All the cool kids are being victims and playing the race card and acting like complete and other fucking snowflakes? Well, it's not just the left that's doing it. Candace Owens is literally responsible for doing the same shit that she gets mad at other people for. Also, another thing I wanted to add, and this is a minor detail. This just goes to show you how weak of a person Candace Owens is. Compare Candace Owens to, somebody like Jesse Lee Peterson. Now, I have my own disagreements with Reverend Peterson, but the main thing about Reverend Peterson is that he has bullets of steel, whereas Candace Owens has ovaries made out of glass. Come to think of it, I think Candace Owens should hang out with Reverend Peterson. She could learn a lot from him, learn how to be, an alpha female. We all know how Reverend Peterson is an alpha male and that's how he portrays himself. And to be honest, he's fearless. He's not afraid to, speak to anybody. He invites all sorts of people on his fucking show. I listen to his podcast every now and then. It is kind of entertaining, listening to him, speak to other people and debate with other people, even, when he accepts calls and stuff like that. Like I said, I'm not like a big fan of Reverend Peterson. Like I said, I still think he's, a crazy religious person, but Reverend Peterson is a very interesting person. Anyway, back to the video. Now, regarding Candace Owens' comment about Satanism and how, affirming trans rights is satanic, well, to an extent, she is kind of right. And, I'm actually proud of that. Now, if you go on the Church of Satan's official website under the FAQ section, one of the frequently asked questions is, does the Church of Satan accept transgender people? And we have done so since the organization was founded in 1966. The Church of Satan's philosophy promotes individuals empowering themselves so as to seek personal satisfaction. Magus Anton LaVey embraced people from the entire LGBTQ spectrum wholeheartedly and well in advance of most other organizations. You see what? That's one of the things I love, about Satanists, whether it be the Church of Satan, whether it be the Satanic Temple, whether it be, the united aspects of Satan. We're like the only, religion that is perfectly okay with, LGBT rights, LGBT marriage, gender identity. We've been ahead of times for a very long time, so. And that's one of the reasons why I have a lot of respect for Anton LaVey. He was a man ahead of his time. Unfortunately, he left the world too soon. I didn't really get a chance to meet him because he died when I was like fucking 3, and let's just say this world is missing a great man. Magus Gilmore proudly maintains that position. We consider it intrinsic to Satanism to support our fellows' search for fulfillment so long as it involves other consenting, mature, self-aware adults, even when our own pursuits are different. As Magus LaVey wrote in his essay, Diabolica, man prides himself on being the only animal who can modify his nature, yet when he chooses to do so, he is called a phony. We in the Church of Satan support the decision to modify one's nature, employing whatever means are available should one choose that path to attain fulfillment. If one of our members wishes a membership card reflecting a name change due to a gender identity different from when they were originally joined, please supply proof of your updated legal ID for our records. We will then supply an updated membership card. Now compare that to, any other church. It's something that, I know a lot from experience, because I grew up in, a church, and I've been to several black churches, and, this is something that's, taboo in the black community, especially in the black church, between, pastors like Eddie Long and other, conservative Christian pastors. It's refreshing to, that there is, a religious organization that accepts people and believes in science and all that other shit. And to end things off on a positive note, if you go on the Church of Satan's official Twitter, they tweeted this back in July. If someone presents themselves as a woman and tells you and everyone around them that their pronouns include she, I consider it rude, disrespectful, and yes, hateful to insist on referring to them as he. And this was said by Magistrate Peggy Nadramia. So when it comes to, Candace Owens saying that affirming trans identity is satanic, that's only half right. Just because something is satanic doesn't mean that it's evil or bad or harmful. It doesn't make it satanic, it just makes you a decent human being. Why does it matter what somebody's gender identity is? If somebody is transgender and they pose no harm and no threat to you, then why does it fucking matter? Is it really that hard, to say she or he? Is it really that hard to just call somebody what they want to be called? I mean, Candace, I doubt she's listening to this, but if somebody would call Candace Owens out of her name, I know for a fact she would be offended, because people call her out of her name all the time. People call me out of my name all the time. They want to call me devil worshiper, they want to call me all sorts of names out of the book, all sorts of insulting names. And I don't like it, so why the hell would I, so if you know what it feels like to be called out of your name, or being called something you're not, why would you do the same thing to a transgender person? But there's really nothing else I can say. This is a person that, denies science, denies, medical research, probably denies COVID-19, and also denies climate change. So, there's really no getting through to somebody, especially if they're willing to deny science. Now, from what I understand about, Candace Owens' history, I don't even know if she's really, a conservative at all. I mean, my thing is this: most black conservatives, at least black conservatives I speak to, they remain consistent in their messaging. But when it comes to Candace Owens, I don't really think that she's principled. I don't even know if she's serious about half the shit that comes out of her mouth. I think she just says a lot of this stuff just to remain in the news and just to stay relevant. And that's really no way to be. Just say what's really on your fucking mind. But that's the thing. You can't really get anywhere by telling the truth. Some people just have to sell out just so they can get money and whatnot. Like that's like if I one day say, hey, you know what? I don't want to host Satanic Panic anymore. I'm going to change my name to, the Black Christian Experience, and, talk about how Satanists are this and that, and lie and make shit up about Satanism, and then pretend that I got saved, and then pretend that I was possessed by demons and all that other stuff. And I guarantee you, if I did some shit like that, I probably would get, lots more views, lots more, shares. People would, tweet me all over saying, oh, this guy went from a Satanist to Christian. Yeah, let's prop him up. But, I'm not going to sell out. I'm not going to, grift. What I say is what I believe. I don't care what the SJW's got to say. I don't care what the snowflakes have to say. I don't care what Christians have to say. I don't care what the PC police has to say. All right? The Kwame Wahkan that you see is the Kwame Wahkan that you're going to fucking get. All right, but that's all I have to say. You guys stay safe, stay metal, hail Satan, and I'll see you guys next time.